Hi, I'm Joe Padilla, and I'm here with
Daniel Silverman.
He's a filmmaker from New York City, and his recent horror film, Better the Devil You Know, is blowing up on YouTube right now. Daniel, welcome.
Thank you for having me, Joey.
Of course, thank you for being here. He is in Vegas at the moment. How you liking Vegas?
It's pretty fire.
So how'd you start filmmaking?
I started kind of messing around with iMovie on my phone, just making stupid little videos. And I kind of slowly got more advanced. I started using editing programs on like my laptop and stuff. Started making a lot of like puppet shorts. Because I didn't have actors, so it was easy to kind of do that. And then I went to film school at SUNY Purchase. Cemented my love for filmmaking, and each year we kind of make some films, and I actually have like people to help me and stuff, so they are a lot better, and yeah, pretty much.
Sick. So how would you describe Better the Devil You Know to someone that hasn't seen it yet?
The way I've been describing it is like a horror take, like an analog horror take on like 80s, 90s family sitcoms. That really doesn't do it justice. I feel like you just kind of have to watch it, because it's one of those films. I feel like all the films I make are hard to like do a log line for. They're kind of like branch off in a million directions,
So I feel like the analog horror thing has been really popular the last maybe like 5 or 6 years, and I feel like at this point it's been done to death, like every single thing you can think of. How did you approach the analog stuff for this film while still keeping it fresh and unique?
I'd forgive you for even saying that it's not that analog horror, because I feel like, I don't watch too much analog horror, but I feel like usually it leans more into like the degradation of like the video and just kind of like the mystery of it. Like the story's a bit more obscure, but my thing's a little bit more like narrative. I don't want to say straightforward, because it's definitely not straightforward, but it's more like a film. But there are definitely analog horror elements. Like from the start, I knew I wanted to convert it to VHS tape and like do that authentic kind of generation loss effect. And I think that definitely kind of cements it as like an analog horror, and like with the visual glitching effect. So yeah, I think just the way it's different is just because the analog horror is in front and center of it, but it is definitely an important element that kind of tailors to the story, It
definitely did impress me because obviously I saw the VHS stuff, and I've seen a lot of those videos.
Yeah.
But it definitely didn't go in that like sort of cheap, just like scary image direction that I thought it was going to. I feel like it did make the horror, and it hit a lot harder too.
Yeah.
So I was impressed.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. What was the inspiration behind it?
The initial idea for the sitcom idea kind of came first. There's like this small little break room in the theater at my college, and I just walked by it one time. It was unlocked, and it just like it had like a little bathroom, a little kitchen, a little table, and I don't know why it just like reminded me of like a sitcom. I was like, oh yeah, that'd be really fun to like film a little thing in there, and that's kind of where the sitcom idea came from. We never wound up shooting in there because it was like logistics, and I think the set that we made came out better anyway. But I honestly forget where the horror stuff came from. I blacked out when I wrote the script. So.
Gotcha. Did you think it was going to be as big of a production that it ended up being?
It kind of snowballed a little bit. Like from the start, I again wanted to kind of shoot in that room, so I didn't think about like having to build a whole set at first. I like kind of outdo myself by writing a lot of different like visual effects and stuff without actually thinking about how I'm going to do that to begin with. But yeah, it kind of like snowballed into a bigger production as time went on.
That's cool. Did you expect it to be as successful and watched as it is? It's at like, I think 150,000 now. Did you expect that at all?
No, not in the slightest. All my other stuff, which I've always hoped would like blow up like this, haven't even come close. And I've always been hoping that one day something like this would happen. And I'm so glad that I'm finally made something that like resonated with people. It's been really cool. I've been like impulsively checking the views every.
Yeah, that's really cool. Can you tell us anything about like the true meaning of the film? Because it's like you give us enough information to where we know what's going on, but like not enough information to where like a lot of theories couldn't come out of it. Yeah. Is there anything you could like reveal about it or like confirm anything about it?
I'll just kind of give my interpretation. It's up to interpretation, but my idea is that like Becky and Brady have been dating for a while. They kind of have an unstable relationship. Brady drinks a lot, so that obviously comes from it. And then one day, Brady just kind of goes crazy, whether it's from drugs or drinking or whatever, and he takes out Becky, and then he ends himself because like the guilt and whatever, and then that's kind of the start of the film. So the sitcom, the thing I was trying to say is like the sitcom is basically hell for Brady made by Becky to kind of like torture him forever. And why a sitcom? I actually had a line in the film where Becky was like, we're in a sitcom now, you know how much I love those, kind of alluding to the fact that like maybe that was like a point of contempt of their relationship.
Yeah.
Where she would always love sitcoms, Brady would always hate them, and that's kind of like another jab at Brady to kind of torture him forever. And her kind of making him see all of these like visions is kind of like filling him with guilt. That's another thing about the idea, like he doesn't want people to like know that he's like a bad person, and the guilt of him seeing himself doing these things is kind of driving him crazy, and he just have to live through that forever. So, wow, that's kind of the idea.
That's really sick.
Yeah.
So how did you come up with the idea to switch it from the sitcom to real life? How did that decision come about? Because that's the moment where I was like, oh shit, like shit's going down.
Yeah,
now.
yeah. No, it's funny because like that's kind of been an idea from like the very, very beginning. I kind of forgot that was like kind of where like the interest of it comes in. Because I was showing someone who's never seen it before, and they were like, oh wow, like that, when it switched to real life, that really threw me off, and I was like almost forgot, like, oh yeah, that is actually kind of the interesting part about it. I remember exactly where it came from, but I don't know, like I said, I blacked out when I wrote the script, so.
Yeah, what happened with that? Was it just like, you were just in the, you were in the zone?
Becky possessed me to write it. That's usually what happens.
I get it. I know you said you thought of the sitcom because of the room that you encountered. Did you choose the sitcom premise to like kind of make the horror hit harder? Because I feel like that was pretty effective.
Yeah, definitely.
Because there's something so uncanny about like those old sitcoms and like how everybody acts in them. So to throw horror into it, really threw me off. Was that like on purpose?
No, totally. There was like this comment on my video that said it pretty well. But yeah, I think just something about like the idea, like, because you know, sitcoms are like, there's never anything that like, you know, goes wrong with them. They're always so like family centric. You watch them with your kids or whatever. They're always like a comfort food of like films. But if you kind of subvert those expectations and flip it on its head, and like what once was like really kind of family friendly is now kind of like sinister, and there's like evil tones, I think that kind of is a great way to kind of like confuse and like disturb people. You know, I feel like that's kind of become popular on the internet with like Five Nights at Freddy's and like that sort of thing, like like Chuck E. Cheese, kind of like, you know, it's like a family friendly thing, but when you're kind of subverting it into this like horror centric thing, it hits really hard, you know.
And you kind of bring back the analog stuff with that, because a lot of analog based horror stuff is based on like training videos or just like really like wholesome stuff that turns dark. Yeah,
a lot of it is from just like really innocent stuff at first, you know.
How was it bringing in everybody? Because there was a lot of people in the video. There's obviously a lot of people worked on it. How was getting all those people together?
It was kind of stressful.
Yeah,
I was casting kind of late. For my next film, I'm trying to cast really early, but it was good. I am lucky that I found, you know, my actors, my crew. They were all really amazing. Thomas, Emmy, Owen. Those are all the leads. I actually, for my last film, Thomas and Owen were also the leads, and I didn't initially want to cast them in this too, because, you know, I wanted to like work with new people, but in the auditions they were just so great that I was like, all right, I have to go with them. You know, people were advising me.
They killed it. Their acting was actually really, really solid.
No, I know. Yeah, thanks. They were really, really good.
Have you worked with that many people before on a project?
My last film, it was similar amount. Definitely new to be working with like a lot of people. I feel like there's only gonna be more people in my next few. So people have said that like I'm good to work with, which is good. So, and you know, everyone was really good to work with, the casting crew and everything.
My favorite shots were probably when he came out of the bathroom and it was all trippy, and then when he fell on the floor into the void, and then the room came in. How did you even think of making those?
I don't even know how I thought of that. I just thought it'd be cool.
Some shit is just like you just come up with it because you're like, it would probably look cool.
Exactly, yeah. But I had him fall from like a ladder. I had him only do it 2 times because he was like hurting his thigh or whatever, falling from that height. But I had him just kind of fall off of a ladder, and there's no green screen or anything. He was just in the room the whole time. But I like meticulously rotoscoped him out basically, and like keyframed him falling from the ceiling. And then I did some effect in DaVinci Resolve where it kind of like randomly fills in the blocks and stuff. And it came out pretty cool. I'm glad to be talking about that because that's a really interesting effect. I've never seen anyone else do an effect like that. How do I even describe it? It's basically like a recursive feedback loop from a VCR. I filmed on a green screen, Thomas doing like looking around with a balloon and everything, and then I exported that as like as like a clip with no background. So I did this OBS scene where like I hooked up a VCR into the thing and I aligned it in just a certain way where like the visual degradation of the VCR kind of like spreads outwards and like repeats on itself to kind of create those crazy colors. I don't even know how I did it. My computer got reset, so I don't know if I could ever do it again.
Yeah.
But, yeah, and I just kind of overlaid that on top and it just kind of looked really cool.
Really sick. What was the most challenging part of making this whole film?
Probably pre-production. That's always super stressful for me, like getting actors together, dates, time. I hate doing that stuff. I just like being on set, doing it, post-production. That's my favorite. But yeah, I mean, getting everything together, dating, dates, plans, everything is really hard. I was originally gonna shoot the real life stuff at my dorm, but since it was over winter break that I shot it, they wouldn't let us shoot at our dorm, so I had to do it at my producer's house.
What was the most rewarding part?
I mean, I guess like seeing the views and the people who resonate with it. That's been really cool to see. And like I've been reading every single comment and stuff, so that's been really cool.
I get it, yeah. How long did it take to make this whole thing?
Well, I started the script in like late 2023, believe it or not, and then kind of just sat there for a while until I mean, it's like a school project, so like as the semesters go on, I've kind of like refined it with my professor and stuff. August is like when production started, and then December is kind of when I like shot the whole thing, or I think it was January. I don't even know. Yeah, it's a long process.
And was it a school project or?
Yeah. It was my junior thesis.
Well, I hope you got an A.
Yeah, I think I did actually.
Okay, sick. So what's next? Do you plan on still making more films? I mean, you're in college right now for film, I'm assuming?
Yeah. Hopefully I'm finished with the script with my next one. It's maybe even bigger than this one, which is kind of scary considering how big the last one was. But it's kind of hard to explain. It's basically about this like this online influencer who isn't doing so well in like the numbers. She wants to kind of become more popular, and she's kind of struggling to figure out like what to do. And then the executives of the app that she's posting to basically show up at her door and is like, we have a proposal for you. And then the proposal is they could like kind of clone her to make like a perfect AI replica of her to be like an influencer that's basically guaranteed to be like this perfect influencer, but considering there's like another one of her, she has to kind of live in this like closeted society and like be like shy away from society pretty much, and kind of like pilot this AI from like this building and stuff.
Any other advice to people who want to make films?
You know, just doing it, I think, is the biggest thing. You know, just get some friends, it could be like an iPhone or whatever, and just kind of shoot.
Are you going to stick to horror?
I'd like to branch off a little bit. So people have told me that this upcoming script is horror, but I wouldn't necessarily say it's horror. I think there are horror elements, but I definitely like doing all sorts of genres. Like, I did comedy a lot before school, so I'd like to do that more. Yeah, I like jumping between genre.
Cool, sick. Any other things you want to say or promote or anything?
I think it's interesting how many drafts my Better Devil went through. Like, initially, it was way different than the final version. Initially, like, the whole jealousy between Brady, Becky, and Jackson, that wasn't even a thing. That was like what my professor suggested. Originally, Jackson had like a girlfriend, and the whole idea was that like it was more like drug related. So like every time he'd like take a drink, it would allude to the fact that like Becky spiked it or whatever. And every time he'd take the drink, that's when the real life kind of craziness started. And then eventually he died in a police shootout and stuff. It was definitely crazy.
So you had a lot of different ideas going for it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it always goes through a lot of different drafts.
Anything you want to ask him?
Shoot, I didn't
Turn the tables.
I didn't expect the end. Like all of a sudden, like he was also like gay in the process. Like it was like kind of like something he was hiding from like his both his father and his friend.
Yeah. No, I think it's interesting because like all my other films are like kind of horror related or like fantasy, and this is like the only one that's like really grounded in like drama. But I think it turned out pretty well. There are definitely things I'd do differently. It definitely went through a lot of drafts like the other ones. It was initially completely different, where it's going to be like this time traveler who goes to like save the world from like a black plague or whatever. Yeah. But the only kind of through line was that I wanted to be in like some sort of rural kind of environment, and the song that was played in it, that was kind of like the through line through the whole thing. I just kind of like was walking around listening to that song trying to think of like a plot, and then it kind of just came to me like there could be some like religious tension, some like gay themes and stuff, and they just kind of sprouted through there with the help of like my professor's feedback and stuff.
I'm sure that the one didn't blow up as much. Did it still at least get like a good amount of attention from like your usual audience, or?
Well, before Better the Devil, I only had like 600 subscribers, so.
Yeah. I think you're at 5K now.
Yeah, I think, yeah, I'm at 5K now.
I just saw today.
Yeah. I think I did actually have 13,000 views, if I'm correct before. I could be completely wrong. But yeah, it got some attention. The most of its attention came after my latest one, but because people are kind of like going back to it.
I was gonna say too, where'd you have the idea for I can't remember names. I kind of just found out about him too. I know it was your animated one. Lenord. Oh my god, dude! I remember seeing that, and I saw Lenord. Like, I don't remember the characters. I remember one was a purple pig.
Delbert and Kellogg.
Yeah, I thought.
Delbert and Kellogg.
Delbert and Kellogg. I thought it was kind of the whole shift, and I was like, okay, shit's gonna get crazy in a little bit, and everything kind of got a little random. I was like, what the heck? Where did you come up with the idea with that one?
Yeah, no, I have a soft spot for Lenord. I wish I got more views, but winter of 2023, I got the idea that I had nothing to do that winter, so I wanted to try my hand at some animation. The idea for Lenord, the character, actually comes from a 1 second video from 2019 on one of my many alternate accounts, just called Lenord, and it's a 1 second video of a very archaic model of Lenord on like some app or whatever. I don't even remember the context, but it's just like him just like glitching out for 1 second, and I thought, oh, that'd be funny to take this 1 second video and turn it into like an entire short.
That's how it happens.
Yeah. And I kind of wrote the script in like one night. I didn't really like try to make it like a well-written script. I just kind of wanted to make something funny. And I had all my friends just record it from their phones and stuff, but production took a lot longer than I thought it would, because I've never touched Blender before. I mean, I have, but like barely. So this was me kind of learning Blender. Yeah, I think it turned out good. And then I just kind of sat on it for like a year until I randomly decided to upload it. But yeah, pretty much.
I was gonna say, I know you have a soft spot for Lenord. I was looking at the video, and I'm like, I wish I had more. I was gonna say, do you think your audiences should like Lenord as a character? Just because I know, like, beforehand, I know his character is, like, he doesn't have a lot of friends. He's kind of a little bit socially awkward. Yeah. He doesn't know how to really go up to someone. But then he has that moment where he has that vulgar tone in his voice. Yeah. And then it kind of, like, forces them to, like, try to befriend him. Yeah. How do you think audiences should take him?
Yeah, I mean, I hope people kind of, like Lenord as a character and kind of relate to him a little bit. I've felt that way before, kind of being isolated and stuff. Sometimes he just has to scream really loudly to get people's attention,
What do you want people to get from your films?
I want to start doing this more, where I'm more heavy-handed in, like, a specific, like, message that I want people to take away in my films. Because the last few, like Lenord, even Better Devil, like, they're definitely messages and stuff, don't get me wrong, but I didn't really go into the films being like, oh yeah, I need people to like understand this point. They're more or less just kind of for entertainment, I guess. For my next few, I do want there to be more of like an explicit like thing that you want to take away from it. But yeah, I mean, I guess just like having fun watching my stuff is the main thing that I'm looking for.
This has been Joey Padilla and
Dan Silverman, aka DanJFilms.
Go check his short film out. It's called Better the Devil You Know. It'll be in the description and probably somewhere on the screen. Have an amazing day. I love you.
Have a wonderful day, guys. I love you guys.